He said it actually in an interview, or Tom Holland did. I always mix them up. Am I alone on that? I kind of mix up Timothy Chalamet and Tom Holland. I think because one's in Dune and one's dating Zendaya. I don't know how I'm going to get this back to productiveness, but like, let me cook, okay, just for 1 second. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Anna's Guide. I am so happy that you're here. And this week we're talking about such a fun topic, something that got sparked from this past weekend. If you were watching for my socials, which you can follow along at Anna X Sitar for my personal socials, I was running around like a crazy woman all weekend long. And you're wondering how I did that? I went from a half marathon to the SAG Awards, which is an award ceremony centered around actors, their talent, bringing characters to life, the storytelling that they do in the film industry. And so I had the honor, as one day hopefully being one of them, getting the chance to attend the SAG Awards and witness that firsthand. And that morning, though, a few weeks prior, I had accepted a invite from my little brother to run the Ventura Half Marathon. So when I got a call about the SAG Awards about 3 days before they were happening, I was like, well, I do have this other thing on Sunday morning. I'm planning on running 13 miles. Can I still do that? Is that still acceptable to do? And everyone's like, I mean, if you make it home in time to get ready, like, I don't think it would be an issue. And so I pretty much had to finish the half marathon in 2 hours, get in the car, drive home, get ready for glam in like an hour to an hour and a half, shoot my content, get in the car, go to the carpet, attend the SAG Awards, and there was an after party afterwards. So the day started at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I noticed a comment section after the content and the vlog of that day being like, how the heck did you do all those things in one day? And that is a not so usual day in my life, which you saw in the vlog. And the truth is that I'm not sure sometimes I do all that in one day, but I do consider myself a very productive person. So today we are going to be doing Anna's Guide to Productivity, because it is the chance to share what it's like to just feel like you're accomplishing a lot and a single day, and what it's like to feel like you don't accomplish a lot, and how do you still feel like you're doing a good job as being a human when you might not have your most productive days. Because for me, there are very few days that look like that Sunday. And even though I consider myself somebody who's productive, is that really someone I want to be? And we're going to kind of navigate that today, because it comes at a cost, I think, like a lot of things. But before we dive into today's topic, we are going to do our rosebud thorn. I'm so excited to hear what you guys are. Don't forget to DM me what your rosebud thorns are. It's my favorite to kind of go through them and get to read all of the ones that you send in through our DMs. But for this week, my rosebud thorn is simple. My rose is that I'm newly blonde. I was last week too. Okay, honestly, I feel like on these cameras, it's not doing me the justice that I deserve for being newly blonde again. I guess I'm not newly blonde. I'm newly highlighted. It's giving summer highlights. And I went blonder for an audition this week that I felt like the character was more blonde than what I was. So I decided to just, what do I have to lose? There were a lot of people speculating that I had already gotten the role. I have not. I'm just crazy. And listen, if you don't fully commit, what are you doing in life? You know what I mean? So I did add my new blonde back into my hair, and I'm thriving. I love it. I love being a blonde girly, and I can't wait to keep adding highlights. I already told Bradley that I want more, and he told me no. Okay, my bud for this week is that I'm home alone without Brew. We live in the same city, but we don't live together. But every night we hang out. And so I don't have him around this week. He's traveling in New York for work, which is weird to be the one who's home. I'm normally the one that's gone. And so it's interesting being in my place without someone here with me. And why is that a bud? I had a really good reason. It's my bud because I feel like it's giving, I can do whatever I want. Do you know what I mean? Like tonight, I'm going out to dinner with the girls. Girls being Danielle. There's one girl. And so I'm like, last night I was in bed by 8:30 reading the 5th/6th book, because I've read the prequel. So technically it's the 5th book, but logistically it's the 6th book, of Throne of Glass, and cuddled in bed, did a face mask, read. I ordered Levain cookies from Larchmont and had them delivered to my house, and then fell asleep watching the new Suits LA. Listen, I'm very much looking forward to the next 2 days looking like this. Brew, don't feel bad if you need to like stay longer or something. Like, go chase your dreams in your career. It's good. I'm like thriving here, and I'll keep the bed warm. My thorn of this week is, okay, this is a very niche experience, and it just happened getting ready, so I think we can all relate to it. I ran out of my Korean skincare. Okay. Also, I'm really thriving in this fuzzy blanket. This may become a series regular on this season. Because now this is giving what it's like when I'm home alone, honestly. So I ran out of my moisturizer. All right. And so it's like I have to go and get a new one, but I haven't had a chance to go anywhere else. And I was coincidentally in Sephora. So I was like, wait, I'm going to try some new moisturizers. This is like my favorite pastime is trying new skincare. I tested them all out on my hand. Incredible. It goes great. I end up picking this one from Japan. I come home. I'm getting ready today. I put it on my skin and it won't seep into my skin, okay? And I feel like the girlies know what I'm talking about. It's that thing where you like put it on and it stays white like as I'm rubbing it in, and it like does like the streaky thing. Not like I'm actually fine with like a little bit of when like you put on a sunscreen and it like white casts a little bit, okay? That's not the end of the world. I feel like that goes away when you like let it sit for long enough. This was like, it was so glowy on my hand. Why isn't it glowy on my face? And then I felt like it was actually kind of matte finish. It's all I'm wearing right now. Can you tell that I'm glowing? I don't think so. I'm a little bit disappointed. And I feel like that's my thorn of the day, is that I spent money on a moisturizer that didn't make me look like a juicy little dumpling. But with that being said, nothing slows you down from the feeling of getting things done. Nothing feels as good as checking your checklist, okay? And for me, what does being productive mean? Personally, like I said, I'm a checklist girl. It's seeing my list of to-dos slowly shrink. And that's where I'm like, okay, I was so productive today, whether it's personal or work related. I think a lot of people witness productivity and see it as something that's related to your career. Like, how productive were you at work? I think that's easier too to navigate and identify in like a more corporate or 9-to-5 style role. For being a content creator, you don't really have something physical and tangible to ideate what doing a good job and getting stuff done looks like. Now, the best way that I can do it in my career is like, did I make a video today? And did I love it? Productive, you know, versus like having really high pillars or goals or standards. And I think that when you get into a career that's a bit more freelance based, that's why you have these, like, I feel like pipe dream goals, like book a role. Like that for me is not really productivity. That's like a goal reaching, but do I do something every day that gets me closer to reaching that goal? And that makes me feel very productive. I also think that I have this really interesting thing. This is like on that strand of how productive am I? When I worked in corporate America and I worked at this med tech company, we did this personality test called the Gallup, okay? Where pretty much you had 36 or 32 personality traits that made you who you are, and everyone had a top 5. So when you take this test, it takes like, I don't even remember how long, 30 minutes to an hour to take this online quiz. It would tell you what your top 5 qualities were. And then pretty much, I think this is public information, you can build teams around what everyone's top 5s are. So that way, if you put 5 people in a team, you get 30 of the top traits, okay? 30 of the personality things. So wherever someone else falls short, someone else excels. It's like good for team building. For me, one of my top qualities was that I was an activator. I mean, number one was I had achiever, strategic, communication, competition, and activator. And the one that I often see the most in my world and my life is this idea of being an activator. It means that I love to start shit, okay? I love new beginnings. I love the chance to like, I have an idea and I act on it immediately. That's like one of my number one traits that I had. And truthfully, I think that this means that I really love to start new things, which makes me seem and appear very productive because I'm always trying something new. Funny enough, that means that my counterpart was actually one of my lowest qualities, which was finishing things. That means that I love to like start the first row of a scarf, but does she ever finish the scarf? No. I love to learn something new, but as soon as I master it to an extent, there's no reason to know more about it. I've done the thing, okay? Or once you get in deep enough, it's hard to stay committed to something for a long period of time because by then I'm ever changing and I find something new that I love. But the downfall of having that quality is that I often don't feel productive because I don't finish things. I only start them. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I would define myself as a 5 in terms of if we're like 1 is that you're a major procrastinator and 10 is that you are like the most productive person to ever exist. I'd say a 5. I think I'm literally right in the middle. When I was a kid, I was someone who was very, very like the second I got work, I did it because I just wanted it to be done. It wasn't like I did it in school though. You know, like I had friends who would like take their homework from one class and be already doing it in the next class. I'm not like that. I was like the second I got home, I sat down at the kitchen table and I did my work. I wrote out my papers, whatever it was. And then I could enjoy the rest of my day once I completed that task. And it was kind of that same routine and that same ritual over and over and over again. But in college, or I think more in my adulthood, as I've gotten older, I've become more of a procrastinator. I never don't get it done. I always get it done. I just sometimes wait till the last possible minute to do it. And I wonder where that developed because I was really good at like, even in work, doing things the second I got them because it made me energized to start something new. But now as an adult, I think there's just so much more on my plate that I get a little bit more overwhelmed with the decision making of where to start in order to get things done. And so with that, that's a perfect way to say too much to do and too little time. Recently, I had that 24-hour day. I woke up in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to give you my quick rundown of what that day looked like because it was block scheduled to a T on how to get it done. I woke up at 4 a.m., ate breakfast by 4:30, was out the door by 5, at the starting line of the marathon by 5:30. The race, I literally like went to the bathroom from 5:30 to 6, like kind of like had like quality time. It was freaking freezing outside, so I was just trying to stay warm. We lined up at the start line at 6, started the run at 6:30, finished the run by 8:20, and then I got probably 15 to 30 minutes of like snack time where we walked into the area where like the people who just ran could like get free food and drinks and celebrate and photos. We left the finish line by 9, showered and out the door by 9:30, home by 11, started glam, did glam from 11 until 12:30, got dressed and ready and shot content 12:30 to 1:15, then drove to downtown LA, walked the carpet at 2, the rest of the carpet opened until 4, and then at 4 we drove to another location where we had the after party, 4:30 to 7. At 7 I left the after party. That was like the viewing party, not really an after party, but a viewing party for the SAG Awards. They wrapped at like 7:30. I would say I was out the door by 8, back home, and in bed by 10. Once I like got my makeup off, got my extensions out, Brew came over, ate another dinner because I would like ate dinner at the viewing party, but of course like I feel like you're so hungry those days. Went to bed. So that was a 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. day where it was on the whole day. And I would consider that one of my most productive days. I shot 7 or 8 videos for social media. We had photo shoots. I had content to film, content to edit. And I feel like when you're preparing for a day like that where it's so overwhelming and so like I knew going in the night before the intensity of every time commitment. Like if I was 10 minutes behind on one thing, it could potentially throw the rest of the arrival times to the point that, I mean, this is even like another fun fact, like as a creator, you do not walk the carpet, which this is like something that is so interesting about how carpets work. As creators, you are not considered core talent, obviously. Like you're not walking the carpet usually at the same time. Sometimes there's overlap, but we have a very set like 30 minutes before the real talent, aka in this scenario, the actors are obviously the real talent. At the Golden Globes, actors, directors, producers are the true talent. You know what I mean? Like it's obvious that this event itself is not for us. So we are kind of almost there as media in a way. So we arrive 30 minutes earlier than everyone else. So if I'm 10 minutes behind and I hit 10 more minutes of traffic and then I can't find the girl who's holding my badge so I can't walk into the door in time, you potentially miss your carpet window to walk because you don't get to walk when everyone else is walking because obviously that's their moment and your moment has passed. So with that, I kind of went in the night before really knowing this block schedule and feeling a little bit stressed and a little bit overwhelmed. But it was nice because the night before, it was all so fresh on my mind. I knew exactly where I needed to be, exactly what time I needed to go, and my productivity was so high because everything really was block scheduled out to like, you have this window to finish this window to finish this, even to the point of like, I had to finish the half marathon in 2 hours. I could do 2 hours and 15 minutes, maybe. But I really, like, if I did 2 hours, 15 minutes, I would get no time. Like, I knew I was like, you will not get to go walk and grab a snack. You will go finish line running into the moving car and go home. Like, that's the intensity of, like, the amount of time that we would spend out and about doing things. So this was a day where there really wasn't any possibility for procrastinating to be involved, but I did wait until the night before to prep everything. And so, like, kind of what my content prep looked like was figured out what videos I wanted to do. I wanted a vlog, I wanted a transition video, I wanted one to go from the marathon into the actual event. I kind of prepped a shot list of all the videos that I made sure I really wanted to get. And what was nice is I did the night before. So it's all fresh in my brain. I woke up that morning, I immediately started filming from like what time I woke up to what time I was leaving the house to running the marathon to counting the miles of the marathon. All those things got involved. And then while I'm running, I'm reminding myself like, okay, you're doing great. You just have to finish in this amount of time. You're doing great. You just got to finish in this amount of time. And the one tough thing I will say about that single day, and maybe the thing that made it feel a little bit sad that it wasn't so slow-paced and enjoyable, is that I was constantly thinking about the next thing I had to get done. Okay? Versus really living presently in what I was doing in that moment. I was constantly fixated on, as soon as I get this, I just have to go home. As soon as I get home, I just have to get in the car and go back to LA. As soon as I get to LA, I have to go to Glam. Oh my gosh. And as soon as I'm in Glam, that's when I can film XYZ. Like, my brain was always thinking one step ahead of me. Versus, I will say during the run itself was maybe my most present time because all I could do was finish the race. I'm like just thinking like, we're jogging. I was with Brew. I was with my little brother. My parents were on I don't know how they did. They were at every single mile of the race, ? So they were there the whole time. It was like a really great moment. And it's my first half marathon. I really enjoyed that moment itself. But as soon as it finished, my brain was like, okay, gotta go to the next thing. And so with that, I feel like it kind of took away getting to live in the moment on that day. While still, though, I filmed so much content, I know exactly what that day looked like. But because I had like so much content that I knew I wanted to capture, I really do have every moment of that day really encapsulated. And that allows me to like celebrate every little win. Like, even when I'm looking back and rewatching the day, even now sitting here getting the chance to talk about what that day was like, it gives me the chance to just share that like there's so much opportunity to really celebrate every little moment of a day. And every little achievement counts as being productive towards something else, even if it doesn't feel tangible, even if it doesn't feel like you can be like, oh, yep, this is the reward that I got for doing this. I mean, obviously getting a medal at the end of the marathon is a great, like, did it, productive day. But even with that, I could have done one of those things that day and still been productive. Your day doesn't need to be gridlocked from beginning to end with things happening for you to feel like you're being productive. And I think a thing we often forget is you're still being productive by resting. That's a huge thing that people don't talk about, is like getting creator's block, getting, like creator's block, mind fog, writer's block, being burnt out. It's still productive to take time off because it's making you prepared for when you need to make again. And like taking rest matters. And I feel like when you're overworked and overstressed, I'm constantly like not feeling as creative because my brain is like, I just got to check these boxes and be productive. But are you really being productive by making yourself not feel like you're doing a good job or creating what you should be or doing enough? You're kind of hindering your own ability at having success by constantly overwhelming yourself with all the checklists that you think you need to get done versus prioritizing what really matters. And I feel like I learned that a lot on that day, that like, I did not need to be doing all that. So if I had to think back to an era when I was my most productive, I honestly would say when I was in college. When I was doing engineering, I feel like my mentality was completely shifted that like as soon as I got work, I needed to get done or else I would have fell behind. But with that, I think I was also my most stressed and constantly worried that I was underperforming or falling behind. Like With school, I feel like it's so weird because you don't really get a break. You don't really get rest. You kind of have to stay in it in those increments of semesters. And then as soon as you finish the semester, you get like a month off where like you're mindless, your brain is free again. And then I feel like everything has to get recapped once you get back to school, which is like, okay, so now I have to remember all the things that just fell out of my ears while I was on Christmas break. But with school, I feel like I knew I had to get that work done. And it was just that little bit of constant worry that like led me to be able to be so constantly on, versus I think that's why as I've gotten older, I've procrastinated a bit more because I have the opportunity to like take my time. And if I'm thinking about the counterpart of that, which is when I'm my least productive, I would say it often depends on how you define productive. I think right now my work life, I might be my least productive. I think I get distracted and overwhelmed with, like I said, how many ideas and that activator mentality. Like sometimes I feel like I think of an idea and I immediately want to act on it. If you've read the book, The Creative Act, that's one book where they talk about this, like kind of like how do you picture ideas and creativity and where does your inspiration come from and things like that. But I read this other book that a friend of mine gifted me, and it spoke about, I'm not gonna be able to remember it on the spot, but it spoke about this concept that ideas are almost like in the air. Okay, so picture like you're walking and they're like these little like invisible beings that are going through the universe, and when they land on you, you have this idea. Okay, but an idea landing on you doesn't mean it's not going to land on other people. Like, have you ever thought of something and somebody else comes up with the exact same idea, like 2 weeks later, and you're like, I literally thought of that first, but I just didn't make it or act on it or do anything about it. And so now I can't even be mad because you did do it, but like I also had that idea and it could have been mine. Okay? This happens to me all the time because I also think as a creator, it literally happened yesterday because I was talking about this idea of like doing the stairwell thing, and I was like, I think it'd be so creative to have multiples of me because I don't have somebody else. I kid you not, 20 minutes later, someone had done it. And I was like, okay, well now we just have to find out a way to reinvent this again because like I have to come up with a different way to think of this idea because somebody's already done the classic, like I was going to do it up from above and have it 2 people in my living room. That's when I shifted doing the stairwell and having 3 of us and making it a perfect loop, all those things. Whatever you want to check out that video, it's over on my channel. But shameless plug. The point of it being is that that's how I feel like we have a lot of ideas, is when you want to be productive about them. When I have so many ideas, I become fearful that if I don't act on it immediately, someone else will. I will lose that idea and it won't matter anymore and it won't be mine. So oftentimes I think that that's why I act with such intensity when I get a new idea and I rush for it, because if I take my time, it might go away. The things that I feel productive about right now are more centered around my personal life, like events and marathons and personal things and training and day-to-day life. Work, sometimes I feel like I let slip through the cracks a bit because I kind of go about this is how my day goes. I wake up, I try to clean a little bit so that way I can have a clean home to film in. I do all the fun things first. Maybe a bad idea. I should treat them as a reward, but I don't want to lose my energy by doing the things that I don't want to do that then will spoil me getting to the things I'm excited about. I kind of choose what gives me the most energy right off the bat. I do those things, and then the rest of the stuff sometimes it just doesn't get done. And one of those things is chores. I hate chores. You're telling me that after spending my whole day making my house dirty by simply living in it, I also have to clean it up after? I know. Listen, that's not meant to sound like, I'm not trying to sound like a brat either by saying that. I'm saying like, it took so much work to make this place messy. What do you mean I have to put it all back? And also I think I'm bad at cleaning. It just like feels like another thing that I have to get done after I'm like already just fighting to feel productive about one little thing. That's how I get my anxiety room. Okay? My whole house turns into my anxiety room when I get like this because I just can't find the will to clean or do the dishes or put them away because I feel like I like spend so much time making stuff. But then also like this is going to be a vicious cycle that we're going to get to in a moment. I'm going to share it with you because it's one of my solutions to this. But like sometimes it's so tough because I spend the day like coming up with ideas, and then when I execute the idea, I'm so proud of it that like it kills my vibe to have to then pick up after creating that first idea. But if I don't pick up after, I will feel even less productive the next day because then I don't have a clean space to film in again. Celebrate more of the little things. Getting your dishes done is such a win, you guys, in adulthood. I feel like, I don't know why, for me, that's like one where I'm like, if I do that in a day, I'm like, I've succeeded at adulting and at life. That's like one of the things where I'm like, if I can do the simplest little task that I don't want to do, I'm like, burnout's got nothing on me. I just did my dishes and I put them. Okay, if you're someone who puts your laundry away immediately after finishing washing it, I have laundry from 3 weeks ago in my guest bedroom that's still sitting there folded, and I'm at the point where I go to my guest bedroom to get dressed. That's how little I want to put it away. I also think that people find social media being a huge distraction toward getting work done. And you want to know what I get distracted by? Scrolling on TikTok. I think that's maybe why I was also so productive in college, is because it didn't exist yet. So I didn't have something to distract me in that way. But I'm going to share my couple little tidbits. Now, here's my problem. I get distracted on TikTok because I edit everything in app. I've talked about this before. I edit from my phone in the TikTok app, which means while I'm editing, I still get my notifications, which means one moment I'm editing and the next one I'm suddenly shopping for ball gowns on the internet from a website I've never seen before. Why? Why does that happen? I'll be in the middle of doing a coffee video and then suddenly I'm like on somebody else's page because somebody mentioned me and I went down a rabbit hole of drama and now I like know what their mother and brother and sister look like. Like, this is not how this is supposed to work. We should not have that much access to that much information. I think that that's how it's so easy to get distracted, and also how it's so harmful to feel productive in a day. You spend subconsciously so much time absorbing information from something that doesn't even matter that you can't put your brain power toward things that do matter. That's where I hit my like rock bottom. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. Consume less, create more. A functional freeze is like a stage where you have so much workload that you have too many tasks to complete, but then you kind of feel like stuck in the deciding factor and unable to like keep moving forward. I feel like I hit this all the time with that ideas concept. Also, coming from a background that was so analytical, I often look at my day like it's like, how can I strategize the day to make it as efficient as possible so I can get the most work done that I can possibly get done in a single day. But then if I have too much work that I have to get done, I will literally just sit there being like, okay, for example, this is a good example of yesterday. I had an idea for a music video for the Call Me When You Break Up. I want to be the first one on your mind when you wake. Great song. I like cannot turn it off. I literally am going to go down and dance to it after this podcast. So I want to make a music video to that. But I also got a new coffee machine, so I had to make a coffee video. I also had a trending audio idea, and I also had editing to do from the SAG Awards that I hadn't finished yet. Like a get on ready video and a transition video that we're still waiting to get edit. That's 6 videos that I had on my mind. So what order do I do them in? Because I also struggle with, this is an Anna problem, if a moment has passed, I think the video doesn't matter anymore. If I didn't get it out fast enough, I feel like the moment's gone and it's irrelevant. Like getting unready from the SAG Awards. It's already Wednesday yesterday. So like that's 4 days past when I filmed that video. So does anyone care? Because my life actually now already looks different than what it did 4 days ago. So why would I post something from old? So my brain is thinking like, okay, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to edit first. But then I lose all of my morning light that happens in my kitchen. So no, I dropped that and I went to my kitchen to start working on my video of doing my coffee. I finished that. I went to go sit down to edit and I was like, actually, no, I'm going to do the music video because we have good lighting right now. I went to go film that. One of the cameras was dead. I plugged the camera back in. Okay, I'm going to edit now. Oh, but actually I should edit the coffee video because that way I have something that goes up today because I don't know if these other 2 are going to go up today. But should I be posting a video to go up from the coffee if I haven't posted me getting ready from the SAG Awards because that's not in chronological order, and I don't know if people care about that, but I care about that. And before you know it, it's 3 p.m. and the sun is setting and I didn't finish any of them. So what now? What do you do? How do you combat that? Research says that multitasking makes people less productive, which I don't blame them. I feel like anytime I drop doing something in the middle of doing it, because I have the activator mentality that makes me want to just start new things constantly, I never finish what I was starting. Or I come back to finish it with less energy than I started it with, and then somehow it kind of like throws it to the wind a little bit. But also I'm somebody who very much picks the thing that I feel the most excited about in the moment. So if I'm doing something and something else inspires me more, I am going to drop it to do the thing that makes me more inspired. Because I don't think I'll stop thinking about it until I get it done. It is what it is. Also, the one thing too that I was going to add to this is when I start to feel burned out or stressed, I feel like the one thing my team will offer me or brands will offer is like, do you want an extension? And my answer is always no. Do not give me an extension. This is still that same thing of like the relevancy will go away or like my drive to get it done will go away. Even if I don't want to do something, sometimes I feel like I kind of just have to. Because if you say yes to an extension, all it means is I'm going to be stressed for longer. Right? Like if I say, oh my gosh, yeah, I'll take that extension, it means that I have to like think about that. Like even when I'm relaxed, it's going to be looming over my head that there's something to do in the future versus facing the burnout head on, working on it, getting through it, and breaking once it's done. The problem is that there's never really a break because as soon as I finish, there's always something else that I have to do. And then I never actually get any time off. I'm kind of trying to accept that that might just be life. Like a constant cycle of being like, I'm going to face this head on and get it done. And then something else is waiting for you. And you're like, I would take a break from you, but I can't. Because if I do, then the next thing is also going to be backed up. And then I'm going to have two things I have to worry about, not just one. How do you click pause? Asking for a friend. Now, when we're talking about life on a day-to-day, one of the hardest things to do on my agenda on an average day, on a normal day in my life, is I think be creative 24/7. I think that's like a weird requirement that you have as being a creator is like you have to be able to create. I'm accepting like the mentality that I'm really working on as an individual is like, I think I talked about this literally last week. So if it's a repetitive thing, I apologize in advance. My job as an actor isn't to book. It's to enjoy submitting and putting myself out there and doing my best job. My job as a creator is just to make something. It doesn't have to be my best work of art, and it doesn't have to be viral, and it doesn't have to be beloved by everybody else. I just thought about this this is a pop culture moment. I think we saw, Timothée Chalamet's speech at the SAG Awards. I actually really, really appreciated. Okay, I know we don't talk about like hot takes like that, but I really actually liked that he was so upfront about what his goals are. Because what's wrong with dreaming? What's wrong with wanting to be the best? As you should be. I think like that gives you a lot of purpose to be like, I would love to be something special, and I would love to make something special, and I would love to amount to greatness. And he didn't say I'm the greatest of all time. He said I am striving toward greatness. And I appreciated that. And then I saw this really interesting thing where is this drama to say? A daytime host on TikTok I saw made a comment. She's like, he shouldn't say that. Like, there's this thing called being humble, and you should stay humble. Here's my hot take. She actually also made a comment where she was just like, you don't get to choose if you're great. That's not the point of your art. The consumer chooses if you're great. And I also would like to say, no. I would like to combat that and say, that's not real. It's not. I have so many opinions on this. He said it actually in an interview, or Tom Holland did. I always mix them up. Am I alone on that? I kind of mix up Timothée Chalamet and Tom Holland. One of them said that right now, people are more worried about, I don't know how I'm going to get this back to productiveness, but like, let me cook, okay, just for 1 second. One of them said that people are more worried about the response of the Coliseum than the artist on stage. Like, no one thinks for themselves about what they think of art anymore. They watch art or videos or content or movies and they go, but what did everybody else think about it? Why do you think the comment sections are so popular on TikTok? Because nobody's watching the video to think, like, it's like that funny thing where even people say, like, oh my gosh, I've never had an original thought in my life in a comment section, because, like, you watch a video and you immediately open the comment section to know how everyone else perceived it. And that's actually, like, changed my perspective on how I've perceived a video. Like, I've watched a video and been like, oh, cool. And then I click on it, I'm like, oh my God, all these people have a really good point. I didn't even think about that perspective, which is cool. It can be educating. It can be informative. It can be interesting to navigate or dissect something as a community and as a group of people. But I think in, like, an acting space, your job is to do your best. And once again, as a creator, your job is to do your best and make your best videos. It's not only to be your most successful or your most appreciated or like get the most viral. Or as an actor, it's not your job to book, because there's so many things that go into that. There's so many things that go into viral videos. When you're productive and you're doing your job, there's so many things of people doing a good job. If you're defining your productivity by how good of a job you're doing, there are so many things that go into saying what is good. Okay? And sometimes it's hard to navigate that tangibility. So getting a task done at your best for where you are right now is good. It's enough. That's all you need to do. And how do I combat when I'm feeling like procrastinating and when I do want to just still get some productivity done? It's two things. It's going to be two things. First thing, I work through it. Not my favorite quality about myself. Sometimes I just die a little on the inside and I do it anyway. Okay? Because once again, I'm always worried there's going to be something else that I have to worry about after this that I have to get done later. So I do it anyway. Another thing too is the thing that I complain about is chores. Sometimes when I finish an entire day of work, the last thing I want to do is clean my kitchen or clean my living room or make my bed. All right? But what I will do is I will say, okay, then I deserve rest tonight. And the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling really productive is clean. That's a kind of break that I enjoy. Like sometimes I'll just be like, sometimes I can't rest unless it's clean, and then I'll just feel really anxious if I don't do it, and that's where I work through it. But there's some nights where it's like, let's say my dishes aren't done. That's not something that I'm seeing all the time because my kitchen is separate from like any of my other living spaces. If I don't see it, out of sight, out of mind. I'll go sit on my couch. I'll watch my TV. I'll go to bed. I'll read my book. And when I wake up in the morning and I go into the kitchen, make my first cup of coffee, I go, holy crap, I have to do my dishes. And then I just do them because it's the morning. I've been sleeping. I got my rest. I feel better. The second thing that I do when I'm feeling like procrastinating is I ask for help. You have to ask for help sometimes. Actually, and this is where I'm just going to say, this is my vicious cycle story. Like I said, sometimes when I start to get really anxious about having too much on my plate, the last thing I want to do is clean my house. So I don't. But then I go down a rabbit hole of my house becoming cluttered and me not being able to film in my house because it's so cluttered that it's making me even more anxious, that I don't even know where to start. So I kind of just feel like curling up on the bed and crying about it. Naturally. And I will have to call my mom. I've done it before and I'll do it again. I call my mom and I say, Mom, I need help. My house is really messy and I don't know where to start and I'm feeling a little bit stressed out, and I'll usually start to cry. Like I could right now about it. I'll be like, it's really messy and I'm feeling stressed out and I don't know where to start because I have so much videos and editing and things I have to get done that takes me 2 hours to sit and do that, and I can't even clean my house in 2 hours. Please come help me. And she will come and help me. And I know that might not be a universal experience because some people don't live close to their parents. My mom is like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive away, and she will drive anyway, which is very nice of her. And usually the vibe is that I will sit and she's like, I will come. This is really wholesome. This is a very Modka moment. She will be like, you're not allowed to help me though. I don't want your help because you're going to distract me if you try to help me, because I'm just going to clean up wherever you think you're supposed to put it. I'm going to put it somewhere different. Don't touch it. She's like, I'm better at this than you are. Sit on the couch and keep me company and tell me things I don't know about you, or read me your scripts while I clean. And she's like, and then I'll clean for you. And that's what we do is I read my mom all my stories that I'm writing, and then she helps me clean. And that sometimes is all you need. A little kickstart, a little friend to help you. Or like, also like, maybe it's expensive sometimes, but like, if you need help, you can get like a little house cleaner for like, just pay her for 2 hours to come and help you clean. Or at least like do the little, like the big things. Like maybe like the laundry. Like maybe she could help with like the laundry, or like get a dry cleaner. LA does delivery dry cleaning where like someone will come and pick up your laundry from your house and bring it back to you folded. I feel like for somebody helping me with something that like is overwhelming my life to the point that I can't do my job, I'd happily give up a part of my paycheck for help to get that job done better. Food for thought. I'm going to answer some of these questions that we have from today's episode, which are, number 1, what are some personal tips you have to manage an ever-changing and unpredictable schedule? Find consistency in simple things. I think that people talk about this all the time. That's like when you wake up, make your bed. And if that's like how to start your day motivated, I think that that's a big motivation thing for me is I wake up and I spend my first like 15 to 30 minutes making my cup of coffee and really taking my time with it. I feel like my routine, no matter where I am, is morning and a drink. Orange juice, cup of coffee, chai, go for a walk and find it myself, something along those lines. Also, don't look at my phone. do not wake up and start scrolling. I'll wake up and check my notifications to make sure I didn't miss like a call or a text from someone, but I'm not like open and start scrolling on TikTok immediately, or like I don't wake up with that usually. Next question. What is one productivity hack that has consistently helped you get your tasks done? A planner and a checklist. A planner and a checklist for sure. I start with planner and I build checklist around it. Like I will start with what are my blocks of the day? Like, okay, what's a good example? Even this morning, we record, okay, I have therapy 9 to 10, and then we record podcast 11 to 2, 11 to 1, 11 to 12, whatever it may be, however long it takes to record. With that, I know that I can build around that schedule. So 9 is when I start my day with therapy. So I usually wake up at 7, and I will wake up and make my cup of coffee and clean my house. This morning, I literally walked outside, and because it is 85 degrees in LA today, and I was like, it's so nice out. I really want to make my upstairs area livable sooner rather than later. So I immediately woke up, walked out, and scrubbed my rooftop, actually. So that way I can go furniture shopping when I have an open block later in the day. So we started with that. Woke up at 7, did my coffee, put on some clothes, scrubbed my rooftop, came back downstairs, edited a video, went to therapy. Those are all my like little checklists that I have in the morning. Therapy, whatever. Then after therapy, immediately finished editing, showered, podcast, okay? This afternoon, my next thing on the agenda is at 6:30, which means now that I have a block, everything that I want to get done that's on a checklist can fit into that time, hopefully. I mean, some things can't, and if it can't, then it gets pushed to tomorrow. No big deal. But I think that like kind of half like hybrid block scheduling, hybrid to-do listing, that's a good thing to do. And one other hack is that I bought a whiteboard. I really love my whiteboard. And I think it's so tangible to see like, done. I checked something off the list. What's a productivity hack that you haven't mastered yet and are trying to? Not doom scrolling. Yeah, like not getting distracted while I'm doing a job. For some people, recognizing times of the day where they are most productive helps is their time of day. Mornings, for some reason, like I'm a big morning. I don't work well at night. I know a lot of people do. Some people are night owls. I love nothing more than like dinner and immediately to like a TV show or a book. Like once I eat dinner, I'm clocked out. How do you take care of yourself on days when despite your best efforts, you're unable to achieve everything on your to-do list? Every day is a new beginning. Every day is another day. Okay? You didn't do it today, you'll do it tomorrow. And you're going to be okay. I know that I talked a lot about myself feeling this feeling of falling behind and like things are going to pile up. You will get it all done. It's okay to ask for help. I'm still slightly anti-extensions because I think that like it will only overwhelm you longer. No matter how overwhelmed you are now, it's going to feel even more terrifying in 3 days if that's what you take off. Okay? But I think like even if you can't get everything done on your to-do list, no one can. Even on a day like Sunday where I went from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m., I didn't get everything done that I thought I was going to. I was still editing videos a day ago from 4 days ago. But that's why every day is a new beginning, a new chance, and some days you really do just have to take the L and rest. I need to take my own advice on that. And now we're going to get into one of my favorite parts of every single episode, and that is Anna Answers, where this week we are talking about what makes you procrastinate. And I am so excited to hear what you guys have to say about this one. And let's hear the first caller.
Hi, Anna. I'm Kenzie from Minnesota.
Hi, Kenzie.
And I'm calling to answer your question on your story of what's something that makes you procrastinate. And I'm a college student, so most of the things I procrastinate are homework assignments.
Vibe.
And for me, I procrastinate the worst when I feel inadequate at the task at hand. I'm such a perfectionist, and if I feel like I'm not equipped enough or smart enough to answer the question, especially for like an essay, that's when it feels impossible for me to start because everything that I put on the page feels wrong. But if I know what I'm doing, I'll get that out of the way. So for me, procrastination really comes from like this fear that it's not going to be perfect enough. But thank you for always bringing joy to all of our lives, and I love you so much. Goodbye.
I love you too, Kenzie. Thanks for calling. Wait, guys, this is why I love these voicemails, because I feel like they give me such a different perspective sometimes on like how other people see, like, I'm out here talking about like procrastination and like productivity. It did not even cross my mind that like it's hard to feel productive when you don't feel like you're like creating good enough. Like for me, I feel like I'm in my own journey of like mental health and like wellness and growth. I'm really battling the idea that everything that I put out has to be perfect, and I feel like so it's like it makes me realize again like that's something I struggle with so much at one point as I'm feeling better about it now. But that's so true that like you procrastinate just because you feel like you don't have what you need to make it good or to make it done well enough. And also, Kenzie, I hope you know that you do have what you need because you have yourself and you're always enough and you're always going to be wonderful at finishing everything that you start. But I know that can be like such a mental block to try to just like push through and push forward through. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate you. That just gave me such a different perspective. Oh my gosh, I love that. Let's hear one more.
Hi, Anna. First of all, very excited to talk to you. I have been following you since before all of this has become so big, and I'm so excited for you, and I love this podcast, and I've loved seeing you grow. But I am here to answer what makes me procrastinate. And honestly, I am a big FOMO person, so the fear of missing out is huge. If there's something going on or someone near and dear to me around, I want to do something with them or spend time with them, and I'm always in theory that things will get done when they get done. Definitely throughout school, last minute for everything, but it's almost like the fear of the rush will help you figure it out.
Yeah.
So definitely spending quality time makes me procrastinate. Bye, Anna. I love you.
Bye, love you. Oh my gosh, wait, that's so true too, is that like what do you prioritize that makes you procrastinate? I feel like in college, now that you're saying this, that's something that I definitely also feel like I did. Like if there was a chance to do something else, I also though sometimes treated that as my treat. Like whenever I knew I wanted to see someone else, I think it's because I was kind of raised with my parents being like, you can't go out to do your homework. You can't go out on Friday night unless you do your homework. You can't do something else until this is done first. I've gotten out of that as I'm an adult because sometimes I'll do my favorite things first and then go to the work second, or the jobs that I don't feel like doing second, which makes it kind of feel like I'm procrastinating them. But I feel like in college I always treat it like I can go out tonight. That's my treat for getting my work done. But I totally agree. Like sometimes also that doesn't work with timing. Sometimes you have to prioritize the people around you and the things that you want to do first because it's so current and so present. So thank you for sharing. Oh my gosh, guys, those were such good calls this week. Don't forget, you can always call us over at Anna's Guide because we love getting the chance to talk to you and share this life with you and hear about your perspective, opinions, thoughts, and questions from these episodes. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I'm so happy that you're here. That's a wrap for this week. Don't forget to follow, rate, and review Anna's Guide wherever you get your podcasts, and go to subscribe over at Anna's Guide over on YouTube for all the video portions of these episodes. You can also follow me at Anna Exitar on TikTok and Instagram, and this podcast at The Anna Guide on TikTok and Instagram. I'm so happy that you're here, and I can't wait to see you next week. Bye!